Liam, just update on Foye. Do you expect him to be able to go?
I do. Yeah, I do.
And go ahead.
Yeah. Buster Brown too. I was just wondering, is he
still working through that one right now. Yeah, it's a great day for him to be able to get an opportunity to continue to see what that looks like, and still got really 3 days actually.
In terms of Eric Murray, what has stood out to you about his approach and his professionalism?
Yeah, Eric's a guy that, really, when he speaks, it means something, right? He knows how to talk to everybody, like all walks of life he can communicate with. He's not necessarily an overly chatty person, so when he does have comments and have points to make, I think most people are really paying attention. He's been very diligent about his preparation and ownership of the back end in terms of the communication. And then, man, he played physical and opportunistic as well. So was really pleased. Yeah, a couple of things he got to clean up, but I've been very pleased with Eric.
When you guys signed Jordan Eric, you said you really wanted the communication and back end to be key. Have you seen that kind of resonate through last Sunday and through practice?
Absolutely. Those two were definitely guys that we wanted to target early in the process and have those areas of improvement that we were looking for, have showed up. They've showed up kind of since they both got here. So it was immediate in a lot of ways, but ultimately your teammates and everybody are going to truly trust you and believe when you put it on tape and actually on a Sunday ball game. So I think both of those guys making plays on Sunday only helped their cause.
What have you seen from Tyson since you got here? And how big of a challenge is this for him this week?
Yeah, a guy that has embraced everything around here in terms of the way that he's tried to go about working in the off-season program. His conditioning, he's been in great shape. Obviously he's been battling, that's the one thing about Tyson is when he plays with confidence and he trusts and believes in his abilities that he has, he can be dominant. It's just continuing to have that belief that you win. Go get your hands on people. Like, go use your length. Go use your traits to go play physical and take the fight to them. That is going to be key and critical this week, obviously, not just for Tyson, but for our whole unit, in the back end especially. But I do think that Tyson has continued to do this, and now this is a great challenge for him against quality opponents.
What are your go-tos to play physical, run the ball? Early in your coaching career, was there a coach or somebody else who really sort of stressed that importance both from a technique and fundamental standpoint?
Well, I threw the ball as a high school quarterback for my dad like 10 times a game. So it started as a young, where it was instilled for sure. And then as you go throughout the process in the coaching profession, I was really fortunate in college as a player to play for Don Brown, who was a defensive head coach. So in college it was then also brought to me that way. And then obviously when you go and work for Sean, you think of him, I guess a lot of people like as, Star Wars, the ball's going all over the place, but he was a tight ends coach in Washington before he became a coordinator. And so a lot of the run game details and mindset and mentality do come from that. And so like when I got there, I learned, past concepts are past concepts. You learn a lot about the details in the NFL versus maybe where I was at Maine, but the plays were similar. The detail in the run game and his ownership of the run game as an offensive head coach, I thought that was what made him different. And I learned so much more so about the defense than just the offensive scheme. It's like, okay, how do these blocks or these motions affect the defense and mastering that? So he's always we ran the ball really well in 2018 when we went to the Super Bowl. It's always been on top of mind for him, and that's a lot of it kind of the detail of the run game came there. The mindset probably started at a younger age.
At what point did you kind of look at Travis Etienne and go, we might have something here as a perfect fit in this offense? Because
Yeah.
obviously last year was coming off a disappointing year, and
Right.
I'm assuming that's the first tape you watched was last year.
It was, but I had an opportunity throughout that process after I got the job. I went all the way, went back to 22, 23, a lot of 22, 23 I watched. And man, you saw a guy get the ball in space and make people miss and hit the holes hard. And, sometimes his timing and circumstances happen. And the way that he was portrayed coming off of a tough year, coming into a new setting, just everybody's got a fresh op here, really. He took advantage of it. The way he, it took some time early on in terms of understanding the demands and the standards. Was once he really got on the same page, it's been doing this. So I've really appreciated his preparation of the system, his knowledge, and the way that obviously, he played on Sunday.
Had made that leap or whatever, that would have made trading Tank kind of hard.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. It was a luxury to have where you're sitting there just because you don't know. You really don't know until you get into a game. And not that one game is, the expectation. He set a high standard in week one, which is awesome. To expect 140, whatever it is each week. But I've just been pleased with the way he's gone about it. And he obviously proved it on Sunday.
How challenging is it to prepare for an Al Golden NFL defense when you've only got one game to go off of with the Bengals?
It's definitely, you look at especially short yardage, goal line, certain specific settings or situations, and you don't have a lot of inventory. So you do have to have an idea of Notre Dame, what they did, situational calls, 2-point plays, got to have it. All those, you don't really have a ton of evidence from Cleveland, this past week. So we've had to dive into it, which does make it challenging for sure. Where there's just an unknown, almost like going back into a week one game a little bit, where you're like, we could definitely see some unscouted looks here, some things that we did not see from last week. All right, what could those be? And how do we adjust to those in game? Those are the conversations we've had all week. More about like what could come up that showed up in Notre Dame that maybe didn't show up against Cleveland. But they played salty. They played hard. I've got a ton of respect for Coach Golden and obviously Zach, but they played hard. They played physical. A lot of man coverage too. So we'll have to see how they adjust and how we can adjust from there.
It was very physical in week one.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Sorry about that.
No, you did.
Very physical in week one. Is it a challenge to do that back-to-back weeks, or is that just who you are?
I think we'll see. I think we'll see. It's definitely an expectation. Like, it's something that we have preached and talked about pretty relentlessly. So you're hoping that that's becoming a part of your DNA and a part of your identity. But I think in the NFL, with the amount of games that these guys play, it's definitely challenging to go out and do it week in and week out. Like some games, the pass game's going to have to come really alive for us to go win, right? Like there's some games where the run game carries you. There's some games that the pass game carries you. You want balance. We all want balance. To say that you're going to execute perfect balance each week is why the defensive guys get paid. So that's where the balance, though, comes in to creates is once we get good at both, well, if they're stopping one, you get to deploy the other and still have success. Within a game, you want to sit there and say, yes, we rushed for 200 yards and we threw for 225 a game. Like that's the ideal. That's the goal. But others, some games may change who gets and what part of the group gets deployed more just based on what, how we're doing and how the defense is doing.
Pretty good.
Well, that was
Thank you,
short,
Coach.
man. That was
Appreciate it.